Hey there viewers, welcome back to the Self-Made Auto Channel. That's a 2011 Chrysler 200. It's one we just had in the video previously for the front wheel bearing. It is our used car, guys. Bought it from the auction. The money lights on, needs a sensor like they all do and everything on Craigslist. So this one is having a problem with the oil pressure sensor. Unfortunately, we can't get to it, see it, or test it without tearing everything apart. I can tell you this, key on engine off, it has 99 pounds of fuel or oil pressure according to scan data. So, which is also, I think, translates to like 5 volts. So either the sensor is unplugged, open circuit, faulty, something. We need to get to it so we can, figure out what it is. I also noticed when it's up in the air, it has an oil leak. And I think this is all going to kind of be related here. The oil pressure sensor goes into the oil cooler and the oil filter housing, which is very notorious on these things for breaking. The oil pressure switches are quite a common problem also. The customer bought us a new oil pressure switch. However, I think we're going to end up needing the whole housing. But first and foremost, we need to get to it, pull the air intake, the upper plenum, the resonator, the lower intake manifold, fuel injectors, all that crap's all got to come out so we can get to just the sensor, find out what's wrong with it, and then kind of take it from there. And I guess first thing first, we'll pull this big honky tonk off there. There's that sucker. We'll set that to the side. Our goal, hashtag goals, will be to get this little guy off. Which, to get this off, we got to take this, I think they call it resonator assembly. We got to figure out how that little guy comes off. And then the rest, I think these are pretty easy. I am seeing some chewed up foam here. I think before we get too far, so because we could be dealing with mouse damage too, there could be a chewed wire there, and there's lots of seeds and junk here. So before we open up anything and expose it, I'm gonna take the blow nozzle. We're gonna blast a lot of this dirt and junk out of here, at least as much as we can, and then we'll work on getting this crap off. I think what we'll do is we'll get this out of the way right here. I can't remember what holds them suckers on it. I see a push tab in the front. We might have to look in service data. I cannot 100% remember. Little clip back here. Another clip on there. Should just pop straight out. Get your fingers on it. There we go. I'll show you. So there's where the one clip goes. It kind of snaps together. The other one we pulled all the way out. Let's see. You have 2 different style clips. The inner one here on this vacuum hose is a regular Christmas tree style fastener, and the other one is just the female half of that. So we'll set that to the side, and then hopefully we can see what holds this baby on. Yeah, it feels like just like a rubber donger down there, male peg, rubber donger, that style. I unplugged what appears to be an intake air temp sensor, and it looks like there's a plastic clip right here. We'll see if we can't pull the center out of it. Yep, there it is. So regular plastic rivet that holds that in there. I probably should look on service data before we just yank, but we got one Christmas tree fastener from the power steering there, and I think I mentioned in the first video we did the hub that this bolt was loose, so we'll snug that up when we get there. And I do believe, I'm just going to move this vacuum line out of the way because we have to move that anyways. I do believe that this is just you pick it up, pull and pray, we say when you're dealing with plastic. Come on, baby. Get your hands back here. Yeah, it looks looks like we got it pulled up off the plastic tabs in the back. So I don't know what in the thunder can be holding us right now. Couldn't be much. Wiggling out the throttle body here. It's a real sweet design, not gonna lie. Yeah, baby. Genius, genius. You gotta pull a wiper cowl to get it out. That's why I hate cars, folks. There we go. Slips right out nice and easy. So that's what I was talking about. You got these two rubber dongers here. This is the one that was up top. It hooks on the throttle body. No clamps or anything. Here's kind of got to wedge it around. The corresponding male half of these are down on the back side of the valve cover. So we will see that soon enough. But that baby comes off easy peasy. We'll stick it to the side. Guys over at Chrysler looking at this and just laughing and laughing. That's okay. Laugh all you want. If you want to watch a good guy on YouTube, Motor City Mechanic Dave, he's a Mopar guy. Fantastic videos too. Really talented man. So check him out. That's all he works on is this crap every day. I couldn't imagine. Actually, I can. I don't work on Chryslers every day because I'm not crazy. So we're going to get some stuff unplugged, obviously. We're going to do, it's like a map sensor throttle body. I'm going to get this kind of stuck over here to the side. We already did one vacuum hose here. I don't know if that runs down to a purge solenoid or where that goes. Goes somewhere down yonder. Possibly a brake booster hose here, it looks like. So we'll see if we can't give this a wiggle. Maybe. We don't want to break it. There we go. So that's the brake booster hose. And then it looks like a vent hose there. I don't know if that rubber is supposed to be that shape or what. What's up, Miss though?
You gotta take your son to work.
Gotta take my son to work. He's 14, he should have his own car.
Yeah, and drive it too?
Why not?
Uh-huh.
We're gonna see if we can't crack that baby loose from the intake. There's that. Give her a wiggle, let the clamp go. Perfect. Now, looks like we have a bracket back here. A couple 10 mil bolts, or 10 mil nuts. 10 mil wrench rather. They're not 10 millimeter, they're actually 6 millimeter, but who's counting? So we'll do those, a couple brackets in the front, a couple screws on the top. 7 to 9 newton meters on them, it says. There's that. I do not know if we need to loosen that entire bracket or not. We're going to play it safe and not loosen it for right now anyways. The fact of the matter is though, one of them is going to have to come loose, either these front ones or the back one. These look like they're probably a little easier to get loose, so we'll loosen these brackets up. Right here. Of course, we could read service data. That would tell us exactly what to do. But we'll see. We'll see if we can learn us a little on our own. That way, if we make a mistake, we don't forget it. Until the next time, we make the same mistake. Let's see. It looks like 13. We're going to need some power tools. We're going to loosen the two bolts that hold these two brackets on here on the intake, let them kind of slide away. That way we can hopefully tip up the intake and just slide it right out like that. If that makes sense. I think it does. We all agree? Good. We got us a screamer, folks. And, oh, sweet. The good news, that bolt was already super loose. That makes us wonder something. that has this pipe on it, which we should have enough stretch to get it off. Oh, do it right on the tip. Right where we want it. And no. Negative. I gotta get a different socket. Something a little bit stubbier. Or something more swivelly. I don't think we need to take the bolt out. I think we just need to loosen it. Yes, sir. Look at that. Problem is, when that water pipe goes on, whoa! Easy, fella. So the one over here, I think what we'll do, instead of trying to force that pipe and stuff off it, we'll just loosen that stud up with a wrench. I think that would make more sense. Because we just need that bracket to fall away. So I think once we crack it loose, might be able to grab at the end of it. There we go. Kind of tweak it, turn it, twist it, pop it. Come on. We almost got it. There we go. Look at that. Just had to loosen up a little bit. So now both these brackets are pulled away. We should be able to loosen the upper plenum. Just like that, in case you didn't see it. Bada bing, bada boom. Technically. It's probably not going to work that way, but in our minds it does. Oh, look at that, see? Just like in a concept, it worked. So the, oh, got the big diaper there. The bolts are captured in this intake, and I think they're like a wood screw. Yeah, they're like wood screws because it's just plastic. It's like putting together Legos with wood screws. We're going to take the diaper off here. Try not to flick anything down the intake there. Looks like the mice have gotten after this or something. Who knows? I think what we need to do is unhook the fuel line, and then we have some screws that hold this little guy all together. I don't remember, I think we got 4 here that hold the fuel rail. I don't believe they hold the intake down though. I don't think so. Let's loosen them up, see what comes loose here. That's one way to find out. Oh, I probably missed one. Sure did. Yeah, she's loosey-goosey now. I think those ones just hold the fuel rail down. Could be wrong. We'll just leave them kind of like that. Let's see something here. Yeah, I do believe so. Yeah, I think we're in good shape. So we got everything kind of loose here. Intake's loose. We're going to unplug all the injectors. Get the wire clips off the harness here. Probably unplug the coils, just set this harness back out of the way. We're going to unplug the fuel line where it goes in here. However, we're not going to remove injectors from the rail because we're going to need to plug that fuel line back in because we're going to have to go key on engine off to do the test on the oil pressure sensor once we get this garbage off here. I'm going to work on getting everything unplugged. It's not that big a deal. I'll probably do that off camera, just go through, unplug all the injectors, unplug all the coils. Like I say, any of the wire clips that are kind of holding it to the valve covers, and then set that whole harness out of the way so we can get this out of here. Pretty easy, all that stuff's cracked loose. Fuel line remains, make sure you bleed the fuel pressure off first, or pull and pray, because it might spray. Just keep your hand over it. Oh, not bad at all, not bad at all. Hardly any PPN on it. Alright, let's go get the shop back. We'll give her a little sucky, and we'll take this off. Try not to drop a whole bunch of stuff in there. But rest assured, if you do, neutral drop, boy, I tell you, they put a lot of stuff down the intakes, and these cars just don't blow up. So a little piece of fuzz, I'm not as worried about it as I used to be. I think we're in good shape. No, we're not. We forgot one wire clip. Maybe I thought about taking it out. There we go. Now she's out. Not even broke. There's that. Oh yeah, she's oily, oily, oily down there. So here is our lower intake manifold, complete with injector. So we're going to set that to the side. Set that up there. Uh-oh. Tornado. Oh, what a mess. What a mess. About a 95% chance all the oil down here is from this oil cooler. Super duper common. Yay. So it does, you know, have coolant and antifreeze, or yeah, coolant and antifreeze there. That's no duh. It does have coolant and oil flowing through the oil cooler. We need to see if we can drain some coolant. We've got to see if we can get this peacock or petcock out of the radiator to find out where the coolant's gonna drizzle here. Obviously we don't want to break the radiator, everything's plastic. Okay, I'm gonna go get a drain plug. It feels like it's gonna work, it's gonna turn and come out. So I'm gonna go get a drain plug. We don't need to drain it all the way, but we do need to get it down below the level of the intake so we can pull that cooler off without getting all the coolant in the oil. And here we go. And I don't have any dribbles yet. Come on, baby. I'm just afraid it's going to go right in my armpits. Well, drain cock's all the way out. We got nothing drizzling. That's awesome. See if I can. Oh, it just started drizzling right there. Come on, baby. I've seen one drip. That's handy. That's about as handy as. I'm not even gonna say it. I miss it. Oh, that's out all the way. Let's poke a hole. Let's blow up into the hole. See if we can unblock it. Maybe it's just constipation. Hey, see that? That's what I missed in my bucket. Just needed a little tube. Oh yeah, that's all she needed. So we'll let that pee for a while, get a half a gallon or so out of it. Don't have to get it down super far like you say, and then we'll block that off and rip her down. So what we'll do now, we're waiting on that to finish pee-peeing. We'll take the cracker loose because it should be down. I see we're down below the level of the jug there. We will get out the E8, I think it is, inverted Torx. We'll start cracking this baby loose. Wrong way, buddy. Now there's two electrical connectors here on the end. Which I've unhooked now. There is a coolant hose on the bottom of it, which is kind of a pisser to get to. I'm hoping that we can raise it up, get to that hose, and everybody will be happy. There's 5 bolts. It does have a plastic donger that goes down into the block. I'm going to let it sit here and drizzle for a little bit more before we take the anchor off. I'll get us a pair of pliers ready so we can get the hose off. We'll get the new part, have a look at that. So I opened up our new one for us, in case you guys want to see what she looks like. So it's the oil filter housing. These things break a lot because people tighten the bejeekers out of the top here where the oil filter goes and snaps and they leak and they piss all over. This does have the new oil pressure sensor in it. I got this one from right from Napper. It is a genuine OEM Mopar one that's in the box. Not uncommon with Napa stuff, especially in this Tech Expert line. Usually it's just reboxed OEM stuff you pay more for. But the fact is you can't get them from Chrysler because these friggin' things are always on back order. At least at our dealer they are. So we get them aftermarket. I think there is an aftermarket out there right now that the whole thing's made out of aluminum. I think I saw somebody post that the other day. I was like, that's pretty handy. You know, providing it's made well, which we don't know because we don't have one. We'll set this to the side, aka on the floor. We'll give this a wiggle here, baby. Yeah, baby. Not too bad, only a little mess. I'm gonna get a pair of pliers. We'll get that hose off. As soon as we get some stuff out of the way, we can get things cleaned up. Going back together will be a little easier for us here. There we go. We're gonna have to drain the oil. I'm gonna set this to the side so we don't make a mess. So I'm gonna use the fluid extractor to suck up some of the oil down here in the valley. Now that I've sucked the majority of the oil out, there's a lot of sludge and crap. So go get your vacuum that you don't love, which we keep one around here, just for junk like this because it makes a mess. Alright folks, well I think we mopped up the majority of the mess down in the valley. I was thinking the pisser to get down there and clean. These things always are when they come in because they're usually full, you know, because the oil sits there and fills up until it spills over, then you see the leak underneath, and then you take it to a shop and then it gets misdiagnosed as a rear main seal, blah blah blah. Here you are. Not that we've done that though, but we have had these come in where they've had, you know, previously been diagnosed as rear main seal, but usually what it is, oil leaks in here on this cooler that end up spilling over, leaking out. of the bell housing. So I'm going to get our plugs back out of here. We're going to get the ports here cleaned off, make sure they're all cleaned up. You got a couple coolant ports and the rest are oil. Make sure everything is clean and hunky-dory. So yeah, I believe we have 2 oil ports. I think this is the oil, that's just oil drain back down. We're going to get the tops of them cleaned off. We're going to use our carbide scraper here, the newest one from Astro Tools, the 9532. Excellent scraper. Do not stand this thing up on edge when you're scraping off aluminium. Just very lightly, very gingerly use it. It works extremely well. So we're just going to come right across the top of these, make sure they're nice and flat and clean. Like I say, we're going to try to avoid as much as we can dropping down in the holes, but you're always going to get a little something in there. It's inevitable. Unless you want to pull the engine out and turn it upside down. We try our best to do the best we can. Alright, looks good from my house. We'll get the new filter housing. I will wash my patties. A little late for gloves. We'll lube up the O-ring where it goes down in here. We'll get everything set on there. We'll get her torqued down to factory specs. Here we go. We need to get this hose back in here. Let's see if we can give it a little hug like this. Let's see if we can't do this. Let's see if we can just get a different pair of pliers. I always try to use these needle nose. $10 million in special tools, always uses a pair of pliers. That's the way it works. AKA the finger snappers. I hate these clamps. They'll get you. See if we can't get that. There we go. Take the tension off it. Make sure you slip it all the way in. Come on, baby. There she goes. You'll feel it hit bottom. So there's that. Get the clamp back where she was. We're pretty darn close to it. There we go. A little bit off. There we go. Now nobody will ever know we've been here. Don't break anything off. I do want to take one more look at my O-rings before I set it down. Make sure we didn't bump anything. O-rings look good. I put a little bit of O-ring grease on this one here. One last look at the mating surfaces. Make sure they're clean. No debris. They look good. Line her up there. You'll feel it line up. At least you should. Get all these started. Let's see, we plugged in the knock sensors right. I did unplug them down there just to get the oil and junk out of the connectors, plus I had to reach behind them a little bit. Alright, so all of these are started now except for this one. Yeah, that one feels like it started. I'm going to get the torque spec. We're going to torque that baby down and we'll get everything plugged in. Prior to putting this intake on though, we have to check to see if this oil pressure sensor is working or if we need to go a little further with our diag. Or maybe we got lucky, it's just a bad switch. So now that we have it torqued to factory specs, we're going to plug in everything. The oil pressure switch, I think a temperature sensor there, or maybe it's oil temp. I don't know if that's oil temp or coolant temp, to be honest with you. It's a temp sensor of some sort. We should be good. We need to block off the fuel line before we go key on engine off. We'll probably just plug the injectors back in. If you flick the key on now, it's going to make a mess. Also, we're going to have a host of codes that we don't care about. We're gonna have codes for intake air temp, map sensor, throttle body, all the injectors, coils. Not a big deal. It had a P05 something in it before, if I remember correctly. Oh, grab a torque wrench. Let's have a look. Looks like we're in good shape now. Oil pressure sensor is down to half a volt instead of being up to almost 5, and our oil pressure is at 0. Why? Because it's not running. So we should be in good shape, except the calculated oil temp for the trans. -3. Sorry there, Bub. It's about 80 out today. I suppose that's why they call it a calculated value, right? Our calculation is just a little off. It'll probably take in more parameters for that training temp once it's started and running and reads all the other temp sensors. So we're going to get this back off without getting a face full of gas, possibly. Not bad, not bad. So now, folks, you just got to toss it back together. Show's over at this point. I'm going to take and clean up the lower intake. We have to clean this up some more also. We're going to use a little bit of the good stuff. I like to use a little piece of a Scotch-Brite. We'll go around here. We'll get the ports cleaned up. Make sure everything looks pretty good going back together. I'm going to get the lower intake cleaned up, get our new gaskets on it, the new O-rings. If we need to, we'll see what them ones look like. It is a used car, guys, so we like to use as little new stuff as possible. I'm just joking about it. He's a good egg as far as eggs run. And then again, who likes runny eggs? So the gaskets on the intake were not looking too reusable, particularly the lower where it bolts to the head. Those babies were flattened right out. Now the uppers, if we were doing just the plenum, probably could have got away with them. They still looked quite smushy, malleable, I guess, flexible. I don't know. You choose your word. So we're just going to go through, stick in the new gaskets. We already cleaned the intake manifold. Different gaskets, upper and lowers. Should be able to figure it out. I should hope. Alright, let's put it on. I'm going to go through, we're going to start all these bolts by hand. We're going to look on service data, we're going to get our torque spec, just like I expect you to do for your particular vehicle, and then we're going to get these all torqued down after we get them all started. I'm going to take and hook our fuel line up so that's not petering all over, and we don't forget. And we'll hook this wire clip up right here so we don't forget. And then we'll lay our harness back over, get everything plugged back in. And once you've torqued your intake to factory specs, if you were a ding-dong and you loosened up your fuel rail bolts, like myself, we're going to make sure that those are snugged up. Now those are just that very coarse wood screw type fastener, so do not overdo it. They will not take a whole lot. Everything is just plastic, so just, you know, word to the wise, if you're not using a torque wrench like we would, tighten them up. Tight enough so they hold, but not tight enough so it breaks. That's my advice for you. And don't pee into the wind. That's my other advice for you. Let's see here. Did that go below or above that fuel line? I'm going to say it went above. Don't pee into the wind. That's solid right there. Okay, all the harness is in, the clips are in, everything's clicked, everybody's happy. I'm happy, you're happy. We're ready for the upper intake, which we gotta slip it in like this because we want to get it in these two holes with those two studs off the back of it. We're going to make sure the bottom of it's clean, then we'll set it down. You know, we'll torque it to factory spec and then put all the other fasteners in. Now this is from Mopar, so it should have a filter in it. We better double check though. Just to be on the safe side. They usually come with a filter in them. Yep, still has a filter in it. I don't want our O-ring to get all bound up on us, so we're gonna give that a little bit of O-ring grease here. From Toyota, rubber grease, in case you're wondering. This car's gonna be confused. It's not gonna know how to identify Toyota grease, Mopar, parts from Napa. Wow. So it says on here to tighten her down to the 25 NMs. That's Newton meters. Hey, it's that guy. It should just say, don't be a ding dong. So don't, it's, well, just don't tighten the hell out of it. You'll never have a problem. Trust me, you don't need to. Unless it's somebody you don't like. Upper plenum is now clean. I did put the padding thing back on there, give the mice some good stuff to make, good nesting material, we'll call it. We're gonna get that slid back in there. We might have to hold some of them bolts up, which I think we're gonna have to do. Let's see here. I think we're gonna have to hold some of the bolts up to keep them out of our way. Makes it kind of, the captured bolts are kind of nice because you don't lose them, but they can also be kind of a pain in the hoo-hoo. So we're gonna push them up, turn them just a little bit, just enough to keep them out of the way. Thought I had them there, but guess again, fella. Okay, we'll try this again. Oh, that's nice. That's nice right there. Now these things, make sure you start them by hand. It's gonna be real tempting to want to stick a 1/2 inch Ugga Dugga gun on there, but don't. Trust me. If they don't feel like they start by hand, sometimes spin them backwards. You'll feel them click up over the, you know, it's 2 inclined planes. You'll feel it click up over it, and then you can start it. You'll know what I mean. You'll figure it out. Figure it out or strip it out. That's always been my motto. Alright, that seems good now. We'll go through. If it doesn't feel right, stop. And these are supposed to be torqued to 7 to 9 Newton meters. So we'll get the, at least according to that little diagram right there. Well, that's that. Now, put the 2 nuts on the back, on that bracket, the 2 nuts on the front, on those brackets, tighten the brackets themselves up, and then put the rest of the garbage on. We're home free. Once you got all that stuff taken care of, we're going to lube this up, save a little bit of pain from the next guy, for the next guy, so they slip out of the, so it has dongers like this, like if you can see these down on the back of the valve cover, and then we'll put a little bit of lube just around where it goes on the throttle body to keep that from sticking on the throttle body. Whee! Alright. And then we'll see if we can fish it in the one silly little spot that it comes out of. Maybe. Might have to just push. get it right, the two legs on it go right beside, well, you can't see crap. As I was saying, the two little legs where the rubber's on it, the coil that's on there, if you stick the coil right between it, you can kind of get it down in there and then get it around the ignition coil. Wow, I was trying to be all smooth about it. Alright, never mind, just force it. Not gonna lie. Ah, god dang stupid cars. There. See, that was easy. Just slip it right around. We'll get it on the throttle body, then we're gonna have to hug the motor or the engine and see if we can feel where those, feel its nipples back here. Line it up with those little rubber things. And there was, I think, 2 clips on this, if I remember right. Yep. One back here. That baby's in. This one will click in. Should. Oh, mother lover. Come on, baby. There. Gosh. Find a ratchet. Well, maybe this one will work. I think that 8mm we were using on the intake. Yes, sir. Make sure that's on all the way. There we go. Has a notch it lines up in. That's it. Shipping. Ha! Not yet. We have to drain the oil. Put the peacock back in the radiator. We got to eat some lunch. We got to grab some dough. Lots of things on my agenda, folks. I've got the oil draining right now. I did close up our little petcock that lives up under there, and that's sealed off, no longer dripping, which we didn't get a lot of coolant out of it. But we're going to let that drain for a while. I'm going to take care of tools, let the camera charge back up. Go harass the Mrs. O, eat some lunch. Got some tires I got to change, few other cars I want to fix and get out of here. Oh, waiting for that. Then we'll come back and revisit this. We'll fill it up with oil. We'll fill it up with coolant. We'll fire it up. Make sure that we clear all the codes because it's going to have a bunch of them in there. And most importantly, make sure that the oil pressure sensor works so the check engine light should stay out. I got something down there on the belt moaning a little bit. It's pretty toasty. Where are we at here? Almost fully warmed up, 180 degrees, good oil pressure, temp, everything looks good in that regards. I've already gone through, cleared the codes, threw the cover on. All we're left to do at this point is double check for leaks and check the oil. And call the used car guy, get this baby on the market. Better shut her off though because the gas light is on and the gauge is pegged down below E. Whether the gauge is lying or not, I don't know, but we need enough gas to get in the parking lot. Now we can't take a toot because we've got no plates. My used car guy, one of them, this used car guy, does a little bit of his own work, so it may take care of, I don't know what's squawking over there on the belt. And I have no idea how long his car's been sitting a while, I think, from the looks of it, so maybe it just needs to be driven. Isn't that what they say? Just need to drive it. It'll go away. But if it doesn't, I'm sure it'll get taken care of. We'll assume so. Anyhow, I'm going to assume that you're going to go in that comment section. You're going to leave the comment, the question, the criticism, the concern, the ringing the bell, the hitting subscribe, the sharing the video, the Insta, the Facebook. You guys know the routine at this point. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.